There's times where you feel like you're more connected to it, where I felt like, oh, I'm riding down this thing, and then there was other times where it felt like I was essentially just falling off of a roof.
I feel like I'm like spacing out right now.
Got it.
Wow, what the fuck? I like sacked my board.
It almost feels like when you have memories as a kid, but you know the memories are like built off of like a photograph you saw. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that, but I couldn't tell you anything about that day or what that felt like. I just know that I didn't think I could do it, but every once in a while Johnny would ask me if I wanted to try it again, but I would just do it to humor him, really. I think I thought I was going to do it first try. I don't think I was scared the first time. I thought that if you rolled into it the way people like roll into a pool, like Peter Hewitt rolling into something, I thought if you just did it like that and committed with your shoulders that you would do it.
Oh, it looks like crazy.
Looks crazy.
I feel like people wanted me to do it more than I wanted to do it. I don't think I ever thought that I could land it after that. If this was now, I would think this through more, but I think at that time it would be as easy as we were at Battery Park and Johnny would be like, well, do you want to try it? And I would say yes, and we would go over there. I would give him 3 just to be like, all right, dude, I tried. When you're standing up there, you can't see the bank. It actually just feels like you're on a wall. Rolling into it wasn't a serious trick or like clip idea. Mitchell Wilson, Johnny's brother, was talking about it. Both of us made the drunk claim. I think we were talking about dropping in on it. We were like, you could drop in on it, you could roll into it. When you ride down something really steep, you're like leaning back a lot. Maybe like your front leg is super extended. I think I ended up doing this later on in order to like ride out of it. I don't like the way that looks. I thought that it would look cooler to really like dive into it. In the earlier tries, I'm much more pointed down it rather than what I learned later. Actually, right away from it, I had to be a bit more in the back seat. Early on, it didn't feel like much. The first few trips, I felt dizzy every time, but it didn't hurt my body, really. I don't think it felt like a very dangerous trick. It was just like a stun. I would just hit the ground and roll out of it. I was always afraid that I was going to slip when I was trying to make the turn into it. Once you would go over the edge, the ground would show up really quick.
Jesus, dude. Oh my god.
Every time I tried it, it would just happen so fast. I wouldn't know what's going on. I just knew that I was doing something wrong, but I didn't know how to fix it, I suppose. Maybe like a driving force behind continuing to do it was knowing that it was possible for someone else to do it. I probably would have been bummed, but that's kind of the way this game works, right? You snooze, you lose. If Johnny was working on something, he would try to get me to do it for whatever he was working on. I thought it was funny, it being in various edits. If I didn't have anything at all, it would still be in there. So I felt, still a part of things. I thought of it as the same as his "Nice to meet you, I'm an artist" clip. Early 2020 was the first time I thought that I could do it. They're really squirrely tries. I I minorly tore my ACL probably like a week after this and thought I wasn't going to do it. But I slipped out a couple instead of like hitting my shoulder on the ground. That's when I figured out how to do it, and I thought I could do it. You're like leaning into it, but then you have to lean back out of it at the right moment.
Yep.
I'm sure doing that did irreversible damage to my body.
That was it.
I hadn't skated since I hurt my ACL, but at this point I wanted to do it. Johnny was putting John's vid out. I have to do it for this video, because otherwise I'm gonna end up waiting until there's another video, and who knows when that will be. He was just like, oh, I'm gonna put the video out next week. And I was like, oh shit, well, do you think there's time for me to try to do this again? I want to do it. He said, yeah, like we could try it whenever. But I had work like every day. I was working at the Brooklyn Supreme store.
Right here.
Asked my managers, I'm gonna try a trick, and I just come in a little later.
Oh.
We got down there though, like pretty early. I want to say like 9:30 or 10. It was cold out.
Yep.
Rode my bike there, got on top of the wall, and just started trying it.
Oh.
Because I wanted to do it, I had put more pressure on myself, so I was a bit more stressed up there and maybe really trying to articulate what I can try to do to make myself roll away. The time before that, I was like, oh, I know how to do it. But this was the most painful trip there. I've tried it more times, and in trying to switch things up to try to ride away from it, I was putting myself in like weird positions, maybe falling in a scarier manner, getting twisted up, putting a lot of pressure on my knees rather than tackling the floor. It felt more dangerous this time. Maybe that also was because I was still getting over the injury, felt fragile.
We're all so bad, Derby.
Girlfriend ever had while trying this thing.
There's a charm. Alright, for Satan.
If it's upside, you start on the chest. Alright, Nick. For Satan.
I wanted to do it so bad, but I felt like at this point I was going to get injured. Having to go back and try it, mixed with the fear that someone else was going to do it, was probably like the worst thing. I didn't want to do it, but I didn't want to not do it. I felt like something that I would neglect on purpose. When I was standing on top of it, like, oh my god, I've been standing up here like my entire life, I guess is how it felt. When I was riding away, but I couldn't believe it at all. I don't think any of us could believe it at all. I do think the whole wall lore, this thing about it, I don't think would have happened without Coots' photo. His photo is 100 times better than the footage. I think that's what I think. The thing sucks. It's 1.5 feet wide on top. It's steep and the ground sucks. It was cold when I did it. And it took me 5 years. That's all there is to know about it. I don't think I'd learned anything from it.
It's over.
No, what? Where's the fireball?
funniest thing about New York is I feel like you could be doing anything and people don't care. They look at you like as if someone does it every day.